Hey everyone, Rascal here, and today I'm doing a special October review. This time I'm reviewing the Scooby Doo movie, Happy Halloween Scooby Doo. And I figured this was perfect timing because they have another Halloween themed Scooby Doo movie called Trick or Treat Scooby Doo airing on Cartoon Network and possibly HBO Max. And there seems to be the same two controversies around both movies, and it's in terms of changing the story or changing what Scooby-Doo is into something else, and it's no longer being Scooby-Doo. And this has been happening a while with some of the Scooby-Doo movies that have been coming out recently on DVD. A lot of people have noticed that there doesn't seem to be really a story or mystery with Scooby anymore in terms of the DVD movies. Now, I know there's some people that do like Scoob, but a majority of Scooby-Doo fans felt like it was such a far cry from the original that you couldn't enjoy it as a Scooby-Doo mystery, just being like a hodgepodge of Hanna-Barbera celebrities. Well, for here, they don't have a hodgepodge of celebrities, they have about two, but the story is a bit nearly non-existent. And the Scooby-Doo mysteries recently, with the past few ones they have them do a bunch of really weird and wacky things. There's still a monster involved, there's still an unveiling at the end, but it doesn't seem to be any sort of mystery solving in here anymore. It just seems to be there's a monster, they go through the thing, they avoid the monster, they catch the monster, they reveal who's the culprit. But it seems like you're not even going through the whole process of who the culprit is anymore in these movies. And this was the first one I began to notice it in these newer movies. Now, Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo was another direct-to-DVD film, and two guest stars were in here. That was Bill Nye the Science Guy, who was, I guess, a close contact with them suddenly, and Elvira, Mistress of Darkness, who ended up being Daphne's friend because they had similar tastes in horror. And for here, the main advertisement for this and what they kept saying it was about was that the Scarecrow from the Batman universe in Gotham City was coming to a small town to invade and spread his fear gas on a small population, so there'd be more of a chance of him to take over rather than the big city of Gotham. And it actually sounded like a pretty cool idea. It seemed like it could go a bit on the Mystery Incorporated side for the type of story, but it was like, hey, that's a pretty awesome idea. But you get to the movie, they take down the Scarecrow within the first 5 minutes of the film. In fact, some of the fight scenes take place outside, and you see Scooby and Shaggy eating candy in the car, and the whole thing happens off screen while they play the music. And the rest of the film, there seems to be some mutating, haunting pumpkins terrorizing the town, and it's driving everyone away. And that ends up being the movie on who is causing the mutations. The problem with it is that it has little to nothing to do with the first plot that they claimed it was supposed to be about. And a lot of people were disappointed because this sounded like such a great idea, and there were hints of it throughout the movie. And there was even this one subplot where Velma and Dr. Crane were sort of like having a battle of minds in here, and everyone just kept saying, okay, it's Scarecrow, it's gotta be Scarecrow, he's the one that did the thing before, he had to do with revenge. And the spoiler, turns out he didn't do it, but you don't know who did it until the very end. They still keep that intact, but there was this pretty interesting subplot where it was Velma versus Scarecrow in terms of the mind, like who was the bigger genius out of those two, who could be one step of the other. It was sort of like their version of Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, and those were some of the best parts of the movie. And here's the thing, I don't understand why they decided to do a different one. And the movie itself, it starts out pretty fun, but then they get to like halfway through the film, and then they do this really big, really long chase scene. And the chase scene is over 10 minutes long. And I don't mean them running, they're in a car on a seamlessly never-ending road with mutant pumpkins and a few other vehicles they got driving at the same time trying to outrun them. And this road goes on endlessly and endlessly. It doesn't seem to have an end, a beginning, or a beginning to that point. It's just they finally decide to stop the cars, and the cars never run out of gas. They just finally decide to stop the vehicles and take a break, and the road just never seemed to end. I don't know if they were on a highway or something from Supernatural, but it just seemed like a weird thing to do. And it seemed like they just wanted to really do a big action scene with involving a lot of cars, which would be fine if, you know, they made it interesting, but they really didn't. And again, it was such wasted potential because a lot of people were on board with the idea, Scooby Gang versus the Scarecrow, and no help from Batman, because they do establish that Batman does exist in the same universe with Scooby Doo. It was just the strangest thing to see that they had this fantastic idea and then they threw it out. And then I actually ended up learning that apparently the directors or Warner Bros. Decided they didn't want to use Scarecrow that much in the movie. The entire plot of the movie was going to be Scooby Gang versus Scarecrow and have a lean towards Mystery Incorporated, as in the trailers. But executives decided they didn't want to do that and have to use more of the Scarecrow character in the property, so they decided to change the whole story, and they were forced to do it. And it was really disappointing because they actually had a great idea and it fell apart. And in terms of what happens throughout the film, it's like I said, they have the mutant pumpkins going around attacking people, and they kind of act like it's a zombie apocalypse, and they have to stop it before it gets out of town and starts terrorizing the whole country. And it just wasn't as entertaining as the first idea they had. And once I have to go to the Velma versus Scarecrow thing, those were some of the best moments of the movie, and it seemed like they wanted to go for a little more of a serious angle, still with their mystery, still with the solving who did it and having the kooky monsters, but I really like the idea they had in the beginning, and then they had to toss out, because I think that probably would have been one of Scooby-Doo's best films. In terms of the guest stars, they don't do much anymore in these films. Elvira just seems to, I don't know, she seems to just be sort of there for some dialogue. She bonds with Daphne because they said they look the same if they put on the Elvira costume. And that's pretty much as far as her art goes. She just kind of hangs with Daphne and they pretty much become friends. Bill Nye the Science Guy, he seems to be a close contact of theirs, which we didn't know about until this movie. And he lends Scooby and the gang a brand new mystery machine because the other one had gotten blown up, and he lent them a new vehicle with all sorts of gadgets and things in it, and Fred really doesn't want it because it wasn't the mystery machine, which was another issue because nothing really ever happened to the mystery machine. It was sort of a running gag that the mystery machine could survive just about everything and end up fine. But here, it blew up pretty easily and then shortly replaced, only to get replaced again and put back together. So it just seemed like it was pretty pointless. Now, as far as what I think of this movie in general, I think it was just okay. All the voice actors returned from the regular movies. They still had some pretty good animation. They still had their chase sequence music number. The guest stars were fine. Not really what I expect to be in there, but they were fine, and that's really it. Again, the idea they had of them going up against Scarecrow was awesome, and due to executive meddling, they just tossed the idea out, which probably would have made that one of the best Scooby-Doo movies, in my opinion, if they had done that and gone through like the way of the old movies of the 90s where all the monsters were real. But that's just me. So, what do you guys think of Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo? Did you really enjoy it despite them changing the story? Or are you like me and a lot of other people, they should have stuck with the original story of the Mystery Gang going up against Scarecrow? Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you haven't seen the film, I would recommend it definitely for this Halloween season, or just to watch on and off because you're a big Scooby-Doo fan. I don't really recommend buying it because it's sort of a letdown film, but you can rent it or watch it for free on your video on demand service or possibly HBO Max if they have it. and have a good laugh, because it's still a fun movie. It just would have been exponentially better if they had gone with their original story idea. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later!